Okay, folks, if we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just want to silence my phone real quick. There we go. Okay, the purpose of this meeting is the organizational, which we do the very first, earliest possible date in January. To set up our appointments. And we also have, because we had tabled from our end of the year board meeting to today's date, we also have to take a look at transferring budget monies on the budget lines. So those are the only things on the agenda for tonight. Everything else, whatever suggestions, recommendations you have, we will put on for our board meeting next week.
Sorry. I just got a text message asking if the YouTube is working, and I just wanted to try and check and see it's working.
Okay.
Sorry.
So anyways, all other items will be for our 13th, January 13th meeting, which is next Wednesday. Okay, in front of everybody, you have a copy of the appointments. First page is the copy of the appointments. Second page are...
Can we swear in our
Yeah.
newly elected
Pretty good, yeah.
officials before we start?
Oh, I thought that had already been taken care of.
He already did.
Oh.
Dave?
Okay, no,
I
taken
can
care
go
of?
get it then.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, I start.
great. That's wonderful.
Lance, it sounds like you that is in attendance there.
So some people are saying that the live stream is not working. I used the one from the town website and it was.
Yeah.
But I'll see if I can pull that from the YouTube.
I wonder about, let me check to see if he's got it.
when did you get sworn in, Dave? When did you get sworn in?
Last Thursday. Something to that effect. I was going by and considered to get one.
Oh, at the county?
Right here.
Right here? Cool. So you're all right set too, Sean?
I'm sorry?
You're all set too? For being sworn in?
Yep. Oh, so,
Good job.
hi, Lee. Are you getting us okay on the YouTube? Okay, thank you.
Print your name and sign your name.
I didn't sign
They
this?
work that way
Yeah,
too.
they did.
Oh, okay. They said they refreshed and it's working.
No, I have all of them here. I usually do it at the first board meeting, but I have them
Okay,
already.
can I have an official color pen, not a red? Thank you.
Should I be doing this in black?
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you, George McClellan Jr., DMV, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of town councilman according to the best of your ability?
I do.
All right.
You have a Bible or anything?
A what?
A Bible?
Probably.
You don't want to know.
Okay.
You have 30 days in which to do this. Okay, raise your right hand.
Well, we do this in your office.
When you first took over, this is a new term.
No, we did this like about 3 weeks ago. I
Do
know. you better
solemnly
look
swear
at-
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you faithfully discharge the duties of town supervisor according to the best of your ability.
I do.
Okay. So yes, you have 30 days from the time your term begins. So 30 days prior or 30 days in advance?
Okay, everybody's been looking over the appointments and rates of pay. And as you can see on the very last page, we have to have these 2 resolutions. But before we can adjourn the meeting, as the third one says, we do have to do the line transfers so we can close out 2021.
Okay, so for the benefit of Dave and myself, can we kind of just give us a synopsis of the budget line transfers and what we need to do here? And what's it for, budget line transfer?
Budget line transfers, you both were here at our end of the year board meeting. Carrie had recommended that we postpone because she had some questions. I got back to Shelby on it. Shelby is our, I always want to call her an auditor. She's our accountant, thank you, at EFPR. And those were transfers that she recommended that we make so we can pay our bills from one line to another. Carrie's question primarily was having to do with the miscellaneous line. And we had, you were going to say something?
Are we going through and discussing this now? Should I get this pulled up, or are we waiting until after the appointments? Or?
Really, we should wait till after the appointments segment of it. George just asked a question, and I'm just trying to give him
Okay, I thought we were,
some time to think about
I
it.
thought we were doing this, you said you had to finish this off before to close out the year. So I thought we were doing it now. Okay.
No, in order, as you see it right there.
Perfect.
Okay.
One of the things that I think may be helpful specifically for Dan and Dave is that we share for the rates of pay, what the rates of pay were last year. So I pulled up the organizational meeting from last year. And the deputy clerk was at $12.75. The bookkeeper was at $13.77. The justice clerk was at $15. The dog control officer was at $12.75. The rest of them have all, that I'm seeing, have all stayed the same. But I did notice that we don't have on here the zoning board or planning boards or the grievance board members and their terms.
Under rates of pay?
No.
Okay, that's because they are not appointed tonight. If you turn back to the front, this is only for appointments that the town board has to do this evening, and you will look down and see the one individual who is re-upping or new to your planning and your zoning, whereas all your others, which you're familiar with, have terms that expire at different times.
So you aren't going to see the entire board because you're not appointing the entire board this evening. You previously appointed them to several years.
Right, it is, I just think it's just nice for, it's a
It's
good
nice, but it
location
makes
to
for
have.
very long minutes for organizational. We do have a separate record, if you care to see it, that has staff and appointments.
Is it online?
I can't answer, I do not know that.
Okay.
We can send it to you with no problem.
Well, I guess my preference is just just go ahead and put it online so that everybody can see, you know, if somebody's interested in serving, they can see who's up and if they would like to, or when, you know,
Right.
when things are.
And that is a separate record I began last year for Sean, but it shouldn't be involved, and that's what was happening. These appointments were starting to include everyone that, you know, including the mailman and the cleaners, and that's not correct.
Okay,
That is not a correct representation of your organizational minutes.
okay. So then, I guess if we go through the appointments, I do have a few questions. One is, I know that we appointed Justine Daniels a while back, but then I don't think she ever
Correct.
had, so I'm assuming that's why she hasn't.
She no
served.
longer is employed by us.
Okay, all right. And then my other question, let's see here, is in regards to the planning board co-chairman and the planning board member. There's an alternative position that's open. And
Alternate,
I
yes.
was wondering, I know that you had posted on the website about there being an opening, but I think that we should table any openings, because I think that there should be more than just putting it on the website. I know it was posted over the holidays, and I don't know how frequently people go online. I was also wondering if there was more than one person that submitted a letter, or if it was just a single.
We also posted in the Batavia paper. It was posted in there for a week. And the only response we got back from the website or from the Batavia paper was Mr. Decker.
I would say both of those are not too well, I mean, if they were posted in the back, I don't think a lot of people see that. And I don't know anybody that really goes to the website, on the Berry website routinely. I know I probably will be now, but I think a good idea would be to use the penny saver available to us. And not to say that's the only one, but that would be, I kind of like the way Town of Shelby does that.
You have to identify a legal,
Right.
which we have the Batavia Daily News on the second page there is the official newspaper, and it has to be an official newspaper,
Okay.
not the penny saver.
Okay,
We
so
can
we-
do supplemental in the penny
Exactly.
saver,
That's what I
which
think.
is additional cost.
I think that would be a good idea to include more of the town and, allow them to see it. I think more people will read the penny saver, or at least see it. And if they're interested, to come forward.
I would put out there that if anybody is interested, they don't have to wait till they see something in the paper. They can be submitting letters of whatever committee they want to be on at any time, day, night, all year long, and we could be keeping those names. That would be great to see people that
I'd
want
love
to.
to have a waiting list.
Tool to go
Yeah,
from.
yes.
Right?
So don't wait until we're looking.
I agree.
Submit
And,
them now.
and that's the first time that, I was aware of that. I mean, and so I think it's something that, we could also add that in the article, in the penny saver, the advertisement.
I think we're fortunate to get the people here that are willing to give their time.
But I think there are people that have moved into the area, or people that would be willing to serve that just aren't aware that, of the opportunities.
Well, if they contact you or anything, like Maureen said, just have them contact.
Okay.
Or we can start a list.
So,
Because I'd love to be able to call somebody that's interested, rather than having to advertise all the time. We still have to advertise,
say.
but the point being is, I mean,
Yeah,
there's been times in the past where I did a lot of door knocking and a lot of phone calls to try and get people to fill positions.
Yeah.
Is it on the website that a person can apply at any time? Because some people may think it's only.
Not that
during-
way specifically, no.
Could it be for obviously no money, because we already have the website? Say anybody interested in a position, anytime type situation? That way you might get somebody, well, it's a year from now or 6 months, but I'll put my name in now. Because at a later date, they may forget, or they may say, oh, I missed it, or a lot of people think it might only be during an election year.
No problem, I'm writing it down now. And I'll have them contact the town clerk.
And just for clarification, the position that's open on the planning board is an alternate position,
Yes.
but it's not listed as that on here.
Well, I'm sorry there then. Jason, you got my text message? Yeah. Okay.
So the, just for clarification, the co-chairmans of both the planning board and the zoning board are not actually up for re-election, it's just appointing them in that. in that
Every year you have to appoint the
Right,
chair.
I'm, just for clarification. And then the planning board member, so there's only the alternate. Should there be an additional planning board member that's up for renewal of their appointment?
Not,
Because it's,
the alternates are not appointed yearly either. They have a term.
but Dad was in that position, so it's vacant now.
That's where mine came up.
And that is who I believe Decker is replacing, but I don't have that here in front of me.
I
The,
think there was an opening and Daryl's taking their spot.
that was the, it's the grievance board with Daryl Sanford. And the zoning board with Jeremy DiMatteo.
That's right.
But the planning board, I thought that it was one person each year.
Yes, there's 7 members and each year one person comes up.
So there should be an additional person on here.
This next to you. Yep, where my pen is.
I know, I don't have, these are just copies of this, the 3 pages.
Okay, then it's in your office.
So the way that the planning board has been operating the last couple of years has been that if someone was interested in the position and they were interviewed by the planning board for that position, even when there was only one person applying. So I don't know if that's been done yet, but can I make a motion when
When he gets
he gets back, I guess? I'll do that.
Jean, Jean, or John DePady is the one that went back to the bottom of the list until 2028.
Okay. So what, I'd like to make a motion that we take out an advertisement or for the penny saver stating that the town of Berry has a opening for planning board alternate and planning board position. John can re-up for sure. And, you know, and see, you know, what kind of response we get. And then those members can be interviewed by the planning board as what they've been doing the last few members.
We've already had the advertisement out there, that time period has ended. And,
I second that motion.
and if we, what are we gonna do? Just keep adding more and more dates and extending, drawing that line in the sand a little bit further away?
No, we're going to open up transparency to the town of Berry and anybody that
I
wants to
love
come.
that little
And hopefully we'll get a pool of names that are interested.
Transparency. Here, Maureen. Okay, we had a motion. Any other discussion?
I do think that so we have, just for clarification on the motion and also on what's here. So there is a planning board position, a planning board alternate, a zoning board position, and a grievance board position. Those are the 4 positions that are, would be theoretically open positions that would be appointing.
What
tonight
usually you
to a
do
new-
is you request or talk to the person, see if they so wish to continue in the role, and we give them that option, such as like Mr. DePatie.
So
He
it,
said, yes, he would like to continue, so we just add on another 7 years onto his term, but he can
So-
resign at any time he so wishes.
so the only time that it's actually placed in the DePatie Daily or opened up to anyone that isn't already currently serving
When there's
is,
a complete empty vacancy.
is that how it's, like, is that what our bylaws, or that's what, is that how we are supposed to be handling these vacancies?
Well, I can't honestly answer that one, other than that's how it's been done for a long time, that they have been on the planning board, they have gone through all the criteria, they've done the training and everything else, they have an understanding of what goes on, whether it's planning board or the zoning board of appeals, and therefore, if they wish to continue, we give them first option. Now, from time to time, we do have an opening or a vacancy, so then we advertise in the official newspaper as well as on our website, which we did do. So we did our due diligence there.
Okay, so if this is kind of like a Supreme Court appointment, I think we really need to open up to the town and, you know, get more input. I mean, this is, you're saying this
Supreme
is,
Court
you're
appointment.
saying that they're 7-year terms, and if they want it for longer, then they're there for life. They can go another 7 years and another 7 years.
So long as they do the training and they have the understanding, then they are doing their job for the community, yes.
Dad, can you amend the motion to include the zoning board member and the grievance board member?
I'd like to amend my motion to include the zoning board, planning board, all the planning board, and grievance board,
You just said all the planning board.
to planning board to open up the,
You mean,
All of the planning board?
no, planning board positions.
that are open
That are open.
for appointment? Do you want to set a deadline of when they need to be?
I would say we get pennies the next, the next week of the penny saver, and it has to be in to us by the next board meeting.
Lance, are you online? wondering about the legality of it all.
You can always do more, you can't do less. So we covered the legal basis.
No, it's just the idea you open it up again. We already had it open once already.
But we
We already
haven't-
followed the procedure
haven't
that we have been
appointed-
doing here all along. And now it's like you're in the middle of a game and you're changing the rules of the game.
Did
Is
you,
it-
did
And
you
if that's
send
the
out,
way you're gonna be handling it from here on, it's gonna be an interesting meeting.
Sean, did you send out an email to the town board that had been posted or that it had been put on the website? Was it sent out to all the planning boards, zoning boards, to our listservs of that these are the openings and encouraging anyone who knows of anyone to network and to request? Or was it solely placed on the website and
Solely placed on
solely
the website, yes,
sent to the Batavia Daily?
yes.
And I
And
think,
you of all people knew there was an opening coming up, didn't you two?
yeah, so, but.
Okay,
but
so,
the question
did
was
you
that-
ever ask before? Did you question anything before? Why wait till the last minute? I know, that's
So, no, you,
SOP.
Sean, I am here.
Okay, Lance,
SOP.
how much have you heard?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, they want to, we had posted in the newspaper, the Batavia paper. We also had it on our website because there was an opening as an alternate on the planning board. Received notification from only one person, being Tom Decker. So I have placed him on as an alternate for the planning board. Now, the question has come up, like with John DePady, he was up for, his term expired as of December of 2021. We have always asked the person that is going out, that their term is expiring, if they wish to renew it for another, in this case, 7 years. Mr. DePady told me, yes, he would be interested in doing it. Jeremy Donadio had been filling in, I think he filled an empty position last year, so which expired at the end of last year, and therefore, he said that he would continue on the Zoning Board of Appeals, so he has been placed on here. So now now what has been proposed is that we should go back and advertise again for the opening, or not an opening, but the position that John DePady and Jeremy DiMatteo have filled in after they have agreed to fill in those positions. Also, want to open up the advertise again to replace the position or to fill the position that Tom Decker is presently in.
I think clarification, he's not in the
True.
position that he
True,
used.
I stand corrected. So my question is, this is the way we've always handled it for the 8-9 years that I've been attending board meetings.
It's been at least 20 years. My husband has been on the zoning board for 20 years.
Okay? So it's like when their term comes for expiration, we have asked them if they wish to continue, and they have said yes. It assists, it helps us out because they have gone through, because there is a training requirement every year that all planning board members and zoning board members, even the alternates, are supposed to attend. Therefore, these people have the training, the knowledge, and what's going on in the town. When an opening comes up, such as in this case, when George moved from the planning board to the town board, then we had an opening. We advertised, Tom Decker applied, he's the only one. So his name's on the list here.
When, I would like to
Well,
just,
I
go ahead.
understand the situation. I mean, the planning board members, zoning board of appeals members, I mean, they do serve at the pleasure of the board, so when their term expires, basically they have to be approved by the town board again. I don't think there's any problem with offering it to them because they've served and, you know, in recognition of their prior service, but ultimately, it is a decision for the board to make.
So what we would have to do then is, the way the resolution was proposed, was that we scratch Mr. DePady, Mr. Decker, and Mr. DiMatteo, and advertise again in the Batavia paper, because that's our official paper, as well as in the Penny Saver, as well as our website. So we start this.
That's not mandatory, it's a question of how the board votes to handle it.
Okay, so we can open this all up again.
You can, yes.
And I wouldn't use the term scratch, there's still definitely, you know,
Be good candidates.
good candidates, correct.
I think the other thing is that with this advertisement, that we could place in there, anyone that's interested in any position, or interested in participating in the local government in any capacity, is more than welcome to express their interest, so that if, when a future position comes available, you know, we can put in there about, so it's not just these, and it's just these terms are open for reappointment, and they can be filled by the same person. There's nothing saying that they can't be, but it at least allows the opportunity for people who have moved into the community, or people who are maybe in a different position in life, to take advantage of that. I also would just like to share that this is Councilman McKenna's first meeting, and he was just sworn in. So to state that it's standard operating procedure to bring up a position, bring up a motion last minute is in error.
No, it's not an error, because Councilman McKenna has been at these meetings for a very long time.
Not serving as a town board member. where he
Not
was
serving as a town
representative.
board member, no, I agree. But he has attended several meetings over the last few years.
Yes, and I can also add, and I will say this, that when I ran for, or when I put my name in for planning board, I was approached and said, you don't need to put your name in, we already have our candidate, we know who we want. That's wrong. That's why it needs to be opened up to the town.
We're not saying that these individuals may not become the appointed position people.
So how long are you going to leave these positions open?
1 week.
One,
Well, they're gonna
1
have to
month.
stay open until our board meeting of February.
right.
Because when we get these names, we don't act on them. The planning board does the interview, the zoning board does the interview. Now, question I have for you, Maureen, grievance board, that also means Darrell Sanford. Grievance board, those members, are they not appointed by Barry?
No.
They're appointed by us? Okay. I thought he had to make approval on them.
Has the planning board already interviewed Tom Decker?
There was only one name, there was no need for an interview. If there's only one name,
Yes, but we've had interviews, we've only had one people before, and we put them through an interview.
okay, well, he can go through an interview then.
Hopefully, we'll have more names. Hopefully that more public, the Barry public will be aware. So my motion's amendment stands.
Okay, so what is this motion?
The motion is to, I guess we're going to have to re-advertise for these positions, the planning board, grievance board, zoning board, positions that are available, to use our legal means of putting it out there with a supplemental to the penny saver ad, so that more of the town people will see it. And also include in there that if you're interested in the future, these are available now, but in the future, if you have any interest, please submit your names now for a pool. want a date on that, I would say that it has to be in, put in within this week and into the Thanksgiving. Maybe we want to run it for 2 weeks.
We have to give those two boards 3 weeks time to interview in order to have it back in time for our February meeting.
Well, we can have the names, because like you're saying, maybe nobody will. Maybe we'll be sitting here with a mute point, but we'll have the names then to go.
I think an advertisement of a week is plenty. That's what the school does.
If we put in the advertisement this weekend and have them due by Monday, the 24th, then that would provide 2 weeks for the zoning and planning board and grievance board to look at the individuals and decide. Or make
I think you're rushing the boards too quick there.
if we let them know ahead of time, and when normal meetings, so zoning boards of appeals is the third, let's see,
Zoning board is the third Monday of the month
right,
when they have to meet.
because the planning board's meeting would be within that time frame. They could, on the February 7th, before our town board meeting on the 9th, they would be able to do theirs. And maybe if we let them know now, maybe the zoning board would be willing to see if their members would be available on on the evening of the 24th or the 31st to review.
I would recommend the 17th as a deadline.
They'll have to be in the Dropbox.
You what?
It's Martin 13th day.
Oh, is it?
Dropbox.
I don't have that on my calendar. Which means the zoning board probably won't make that night either. But if we have it in by the 17th, the zoning board meets shortly thereafter. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. Okay.
I don't have a date to submit them by.
17th.
Well, I'm asking George, he's the one that came up
Oh,
with it.
okay.
So if we're gonna have them in, let's do, Martin Luther King's the 17th, we want it on a Monday, then we'll do the 24th. Is that?
Why?
'Cause
This is submission to have them in by, or into the town
And they'll be
hall
using the
by.
Dropbox.
Okay. All right. So 17th to the 3rd, yeah. 17th should be fine. 17th. Yep. Can I ask, any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Okay, you got all that, Maureen?
Yep.
You want to read that back to us, please?
George McKenna made a motion to advertise for the planning board, alternate planning board member, zoning board member, and the grievance board member that are currently open for appointment to be submitted by January 17th, 2022, and advertised in the legal paper and in the Penny Saver, and to please add your name if interested in any future town board appointments.
Any further discussion?
On that motion?
Yes. Do I hear a second?
Mary already seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so carried. As we go through this, what else?
Any appointments?
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion to table the appointment of the town attorney at this time until our next meeting on the 13th. Being a new member, there's been a lot of things that have come up, and it's such a important position. Where Barry is right now, with everything going on with the solar project and the wind and the water situations. I don't think me and George have had enough time to really investigate our avenues as far as attorney and that, or keeping the same attorney. I think a motion to table it to the next town meeting would help the new board members.
I second that.
Wait till the next what meeting?
The next, the meeting on the 13th.
On the 13th, thank you.
Correct.
The 12th.
Or, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, the 12th.
Get all that one?
Who seconded it?
Carried.
So let me get this straight. Okay, never mind. You asked for the motion to hold off on the town attorney until the 13th until you get
Well,
more facts.
12th.
Or 12th.
I did the same thing.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay, anything else on these appointments?
I would like to add, I know that the newspaper has to be, we have to have the Batavia Daily in there because it's an actual newspaper, and that's a New York State requirement. But I think that we should also have in there, it doesn't, to my knowledge, it doesn't cost us anything to send things to the hub of informational notices and have them place it online, and I think that it would keep us up with the town, up with the time, and help with ensuring that the residents of our community have another avenue to find out what things are going on. So can we add that in, not that it's a requirement from New York State, but just something to hold us accountable to ensuring the residents of our community are
I
informed?
would suggest, Carrie, if you want to do that in the form of a motion, to do it at the first board meeting and submit it then, and we can pass it, and then it becomes something that we'll be doing. But like I stated before, it doesn't add to this, these are all the required. And I cleaned it up a year ago because everything was beginning to get in there, because people wanted to see it in there. But that bogged down, and therefore then you could not find what was required. And people, it's hard to give an example, but you go out years then when you start doing that, and then people assume things because it was always done that way, and I'd rather leave this as the required appointments for tonight. That's it. And then I very much agree with you, if you want to submit something in writing would help me with the minutes, but bring it up next week and pass it as a resolution that you know, you think it's in the best interest of the citizens going forward to do that. And that way, it is in there, it's in the minutes, it will become procedure, but it's not bogging this down.
Is there a way that we could like go through, like bold the requirements and leave unbold or italicize any additional extras that we have in there that, you know, to kind of balance? I hear what you're saying about bogging it down, but at the same time, it is a resource that I know is easy to go to and say, you know, this is where we have to put things. And if somebody, you know, comes in or something happens and they say, oh, what are your, you know, where do you have to place your information?
I think you should check and make sure that there is no cost to it. I don't know if that's correct.
Well, in my thought process is that we can send, I know that we've sent things to Tom in the past of like FYIs about when we've had our meetings be closed or open, and that he has put those in on our behalf at no cost. And if at some point there is a cost to it, I know the letter to the editor or just, you know, submitting things that way. And if, you know, if the board feels that it would be appropriate to pay for an advertisement or something there as well. I know you can do the advertisements on the side, or you can do a paid advertisement too on the main section, but I know in the past that has been.
We can consider that. And I think we'll hold off till our next board meeting, if that's okay, for our board meeting next week, so we have more information. Okay, anything else having to do with the appointments?
So I'm assuming we don't have a town engineer.
No, we do not have, since I've been in this position, I have not recognized an official town engineer at all. I'd rather leave that wide open, that,
Use it at discretion.
yes. Oh, you know, one thing I'm looking at right now, meeting times. As you can see, our town board workshops for the first Monday of each month at 5 p.m. I'm listening for a time, because I know every one of you, with the exception of me, work. I don't work at all.
Well, 6 would be a better time for me, but I could squeeze 5:30. We're technically open at my business till 5:30.
I may be late at 6:30 would be better, but I don't want to get it later. I'd rather get it done earlier.
You're saying 6, you're saying 6:30, you're saying 6:30. Carrie, what are you saying?
I can do any of those times that have been. 5 is hard.
You want to do 5?
No, that's the hard one.
I think
I'm in your corner with that one. I like being able to get home early.
Because, you know, 4:30 in the morning comes early.
Did you say 6, Dave?
I said 6.
Okay. I'll go along with 6, just maybe a little late.
Yeah, if it's doable.
Okay, 6 p.m. then is what we'll look at for our workshops for this year. On the first Mondays. Remember, some months, our first Monday for a workshop, maybe the week before, like it is this calendar, but some calendars, it might be, 2 days before a board meeting.
Okay, now, we're going to discuss the rates of pay. And
You
that's
gotta do town board first.
Okay, perfect.
Are you leaving town board second Wednesday at 7?
Town board second Wednesday at 7, yes. far as I know, still want to say at 6:30. Zoning Board of Appeals, 7 PM as needed. Okay. Anything else there?
Can we go through the rates of pay and share the current, like what we did last year, for the ones that are changing? So I see 4 that looks like are gonna be changed, or proposed to be changed. Deputy clerks going from $12.75 an hour to $15.25. Bookkeepers going from $13.77 to $16.50. Justice clerk going from $15 an hour to $17.50, and the dog control officer going from $12.75 to $15.25.
And these are all ones that we've already approved in our budget for 2022.
That's not true. In the budget, we approved, because we discussed this at that time, that we discussed setting the budget at a rate that would cover this if this is what we chose. But it's not until tonight's meeting that it will actually be approved, and that these would be the rates. If we didn't approve these tonight, they would stay at last year's rates.
Okay,
How
Mr.
can you
Thorpe.
do that when some of them are going to be under minimum wage?
I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying, he stated that we already approved this at the budget, and that is not accurate.
We approved theirs we adopted the budget for 2022, and those values were placed in that budget at that time.
But these rates, we are setting tonight. We didn't set the rates at the budget. The budget is to set, where we're looking towards for the year. And so I think that it is important that we discuss these. I don't think that anyone should be below minimum wage. And I am seeing that the grievance board members are below minimum wage at $12.50 an hour.
That's not an hour.
It says per hour next to it.
It should be per meeting.
Yes. Yeah, same as zoning board.
Same as zoning board.
Thank you.
And is there a reason that our meeting, the grievance board and the zoning board, it's a different rate that they are paid?
That I couldn't even explain to you, because that's the rate it's always been.
The
Well,
difference
grievance
between the
board-
zoning board chair and the zoning board members?
No, the difference between, so you have your zoning board, and, so planning board doesn't get paid,
No.
and zoning board gets paid, but they get paid $10.40 an hour, and grievance board gets paid, and they get paid, or, I'm sorry, $10.40 a meeting.
Correct.
And the grievance board gets paid $12.50 a meeting.
But doesn't the grievance board only meet one night when they have grievance?
1 day a year.
1 day a year?
I just think it just seems arbitrary.
Looking at these, I don't know, coming onto the board, and if I agree with this, I can't. I just looked through, it's a 16 and 17% increase across the board we're looking at. Coming on the board and first meeting, giving somebody a 17% raise, I can't do it.
If you were working those positions, you might agree
Well,
with the rates.
I will say this. If the court clerk's rate is not what it should be, first of all, I will explain to the ones coming on. I can show you the years, many in a row, that those hourlies did not change. And with what I'm having to deal with, if you don't want to pay that for court clerk, you can go back to the front and also advertise for court clerk.
What I did when I came up with these salaries for these people is I took a look at what they were making and Maureen gets upset with me when I say minimum wage. But I looked at how much they were making this past year above minimum wage. Now, let's say it's 50 cents, they were 50 cents above minimum wage. Then what I did is I went to the minimum wage for the final minimum wage, which is going to be, how much?
$13.20 starting.
No, that's for this year. I'm talking about next year, so we don't have to play the game again.
Here we go, into this discussion again.
I know.
Where you pull me down the swirly toilet of wages is what you do.
Okay? So the new rate for upstate New York for 2023 will be, was it 15 and a quarter? I believe it's 15 and a quarter.
No, the new,
What is the rate for 2023?
I will give you two Burger Kings instead of make time here for court.
what I had looked at is, that's not, but I
For
will.
upstate New York.
Right, just.
Downstate's already at the maximum, which is 15 whatever.
Actually, I take that back about appointing the court clerk, because the judge has to do it, so one of you will have to call the judge and let him know he'll need to make a new appointment. One of you can do that.
So the wage calculator only goes up to 2021 that I'm looking at as the New York State minimum wage.
Thank you so much, Sean, for reducing my position to that again. Keep in mind what you pay your cleaning crew here per hour when you're looking at these salaries. And I don't care what they were a year ago. I'm trying to make them respectable this year.
It is hard, though, to,
$15 per hour.
looking at, I understand that you're saying, like, national chains and what they're paying, but small businesses are also struggling to, with the same thing. And it's
Okay,
not-
now, in taking a look at what I came up with here, I also looked at county-wide, what other towns are paying the individuals, and the town of Berry is one of the lowest paid. Our employees are one of the lowest paid. God, I wish we lived in Shelby, or not Shelby, Ridgeway. They're the top paid people in the whole county.
Do you have a range?
Not in front of me, no. I wasn't expecting this discussion. So what
Because some
I did,
also have assistants. All of those positions have
so,
assistants. Some don't. Some have benefits, some do not. You need to look at all of that.
so what I did for our people is I took a look at what they made in '21 compared to the minimum wage. And if they're 50 cents over the minimum wage, then I went to the $15 per hour and put them at $15.50. So they stayed above. I wasn't going to back cut them so that they were making basically less. You pay for the experience of some of these people. And then they had a 2%, because everybody basically got a 2% across the board. So yes, they got a big pay jump, but that only puts them now, countywide, in about the median range. So that's why there was a big jump at this time, is because, like I said, next year, you'll be going up to $15 an hour. I'm taking care of it now. And therefore, we don't have to play that game next year. We're all set. Everybody's going to be making above the $15 an hour, plus they still have, for their experience, what they were making before, above what the minimum wage was in '21. So that's what I use as a measuring stick.
I appreciate you explaining how you came to these numbers. I have a little bit of a different philosophy. I personally would prefer to go, not say, well, we're not going to change it next year. I would personally like the idea of, and I've shared this before, of merit-based races and of being able to kind of go through and show how things are going. I agree with Maureen in that I think that our rates have been lower in some of these areas than they should be, and I know that last year we did do 2 larger increases and 2 smaller increases in these rates. And I do feel that this should be an every year looking over, not we're going to set this for the next 2 years. And I think that would be a little bit more palatable too for the concerns of such a significant increase in this 1 year.
These positions, are these full-time?
No.
Roughly how many hours a week are the positions? Just
Maureen, they're mostly all your people, so can you answer that question?
Clerk is roughly 10 to 12, unless, what we're dealing with lately is more like 15 hours a week. My deputies depend on the time of year, but tax time goes up. Other than that, it's 10 hours a week roughly.
Bookkeeper is full-time, I take that back.
Dog control officer is the same as my deputy. So when I'm saying anything I answer for deputy is the same as dog control. She works both jobs at the same time.
She separates out her hours.
No, she does not. It's all under the same umbrella. I do have a separate line item for dog control officer, so what I normally do is as I'm paying her with each month under the voucher system, I will use the hours or money allocated for dog control officer first until that fund is depleted, and then it rolls over to the deputy clerk's funds. So she gets, it's the same duties, because at any given time where she's doing a dog renewal letter, she's also then answering the phone or perhaps waiting on the counter. It would be impossible to separate her duties. It would be a minute by minute.
What's full-time for the town? Is it 30 hours, 35, or 40?
Anything between 30 and 40 hours. Now, as bookkeeper, even though it's listed as bookkeeper, and Carrie, you've seen them, and Margaret, you have seen hers when she sends out her time sheets. She does separate because not only does she do the bookkeeping for the town, she's also secretary for me. She is also the she takes minutes for the planning board and the zoning board, and she also works for Shelley Dale Hall, the CEO. So, yes, she wears many hats for her 30 to 40 hours a week. Okay, anything else?
I'm not set on those yet.
That's what I'm waiting to hear.
Let's see here.
We do have, when we get the workshop, we have 2 gentlemen here to talk to us about, do a presentation on water districts, so.
Just as like I guess I would feel personally more comfortable with the deputy clerks, deputy clerk and dog control officer at 14 for this year, bookkeeper, let's see here. Bookkeeper at 15 and justice clerk at 16.
Could you repeat those one more time?
14 for deputy clerk and dog control officer, 15 for bookkeeper, and 16 for justice clerk.
To be reviewed yearly?
Well, we do review it yearly, we don't have to.
So,
No, it shouldn't.
Cool themselves down before they shut off.
so as far as the hourly rate, coming on, I would like to see it up, each year. I'd like to see where we are in Orleans County and in western New York. And I'd like to, have this town at least at the median. That's what I would be hoping for in the future. But at the same time, I think I would need to see, I don't know if that's what you're considering merit-based raises, but I would need to see, the hourly work that's being done, that's being accomplished for those hours. Because I think that's a bigger, if we're paying for, or if we can be more efficient, we can lower the hours. And we could save money and raise our hourly rate. But for now, I'm kind of going along with the 9 or 10% raise there. And then next year, looking at it again and being more familiar with it.
So what you're suggesting is we cut the deputy clerks by $1.25, as well as the dog control officer by $1.25, and then cutting the bookkeeper and the justice clerk by $1.50 an hour.
So, and I'll just kind of give a little bit of the bookkeeper and the justice clerk last year both got larger raises than the deputy clerk and dog control officers. There was an increase in, not for the clerk, but for the bookkeeper, there's an increase in hours and in pay.
For the
There's still a 7%, so really, from what they're getting currently, so this is what was proposed, but from what they're getting currently, it's a 10% increase for the deputy clerk and the dog control officer, it's a 9% increase for the bookkeeper, and it's a 7% increase for the justice clerk. And if we wanted, let me see what a 9% increase for the justice clerk would be.
Sean, also in this list should be planning board clerk and zoning board clerk. Should be spelled out.
would all fall under the same rate.
Right, correct, just like deputy clerk and dog control officer.
Yeah. Well, that's,
Because at any given time, if you separate those out, that needs to be represented.
which she does do on her time sheet.
Correct, so that's why it should be here.
And I have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Not knowing, the deputy clerk and the dog control officer is the same person?
Yes.
There can be many deputies, or up to 3 deputies, but there's one particular dog control officer.
Okay.
I believe you appointed her on the page before.
Okay. And they break up their pay for the different duties that they're doing, correct?
Well, like I said it a minute ago, it would be next to impossible to break out, because she's doing them simultaneously, those 2 positions. That's why we've joined it into one, but,
A person could walk in here and they walk up to the counter and they take care of their dog licensing and they're in and out like in 5-8 minutes.
and one person at the county could, at the counter, could be doing an old dog license, which comes under dog control officer, and then they say, and I need to renew the current one, and that's deputy.
I get that.
So,
Well, my question is just to, so I'm clear, that they're not making $30.50 an hour.
That was written, no.
I'm not even gonna answer that.
No.
Thank you. If that's the case, I'm taking that job.
Me too.
You can have the justice clerk one, it's available.
So,
Is there a motion? So we
just-
can move it along here?
yeah, one more thing, is today, the 1375 is the minimum now for our
1320,
1320?
yes.
Okay, so I think we should, the election inspectors, should we raise all of those to at least the minimum?
Oh. It's just, that's just the elections inspector, but yeah, that should also, if it's hourly,
Or is that
The election inspectors, isn't that wage sent to us by the board of elections? No? Because we get an exorbitant bill from the board of elections every time that we have anything going on having to do with elections.
Which is
but that's
separate
separate, yeah.
from
Yep,
this.
yep, it's separate from this. I was just saying that we always get a large bill, and I didn't know if this was a wage that they had set.
No. We pay them separate from that bill.
no, just to be, keep everything up?
So what are you proposing for election inspectors?
Whatever the minimum is, 13.
1320.
In that for 21,
No, that's for this year.
for 22?
Last year was 1270, 1250, 1250 was last year, this year's 1320.
So you're saying it's what, 13?
1320.
13, 20. Anything else? Do I hear a motion?
Do you want a
She
formal
made a
motion,
motion.
or are we gonna just, for this specific set, or are we gonna do it for,
Barry, you already made the motion. To lower the proposed salaries for the deputy town clerk, the bookkeeper, the justice clerk, the planning board, and zoning board clerk to the amounts that you gave.
I didn't make a formal motion, I just said this is what I was thinking in a form of discussion. That those were the rates that I would feel comfortable is what I stated. I wasn't making a formal motion at that time. I also thought that this was something that we come to a consensus on and then vote on everything at the end. But if you want to do individuals, that's fine too. If those seem reasonable though to others, I can make a motion. I guess the only thing I would change is that I do think I would increase the justice clerk, because when I went through the percentages to 9 instead of, to 1635, which would also be a 9% increase for consistency, and I think that's appropriate. So it would be, so I'll go ahead. I move that we set the rates of pay as written, except for deputy clerk, we would change to $14 per hour. Bookkeeper would be changed to $15 per hour. Justice clerk would be changed to $16.35 per hour. Dog control officer would be changed to $14 per hour. Elections inspector would be changed to $13.20 per hour. And the grievance board members would be, hour would be changed to meeting.
Grievance board members, you want to change to the meeting?
Yeah, change
Yes.
the verbiage,
To the meet, to per meeting.
hour to meeting.
That's going to be a reduction for them by quite a bit.
Grievance board members?
Yes, quite a bit.
I thought you said it was per meeting, not
Right, when I brought
per
it up.
hour. That's what I thought you
So
said.
what Barry Flansburgh does is he makes out the vouchers.
Yeah,
He puts them in for an X number of hours in the morning and an X number of hours at night. Fills them out. They come in, they're here for an hour. If he has not gotten any grievances, which he knows ahead of time, they talk for an hour or so. He tells them they can all go. They do have to stay within traveling distance for the day, but they're free to go after about an hour. So they get $12.50 an hour for the full day by remaining near phone in case they are needed, but they definitely get more than $12.50 for the entire day.
So that it is.
So it is hourly, and it should be up to at least a minimum of $13.20.
okay.
So then, I will amend that to state the grievance board members would be $13.20 per hour.
Deputy town clerk, bookkeeper, justice clerk, planning board, zoning board, dog control, grievance, and what
Election.
else?
Election inspector.
All set? Okay, Terry made the motion. Any other discussion? Where a second?
I second that.
George seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Those opposed?
Aye.
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 All right. And then we're back to the original.
To the original.
Still think we should change that 1320 to 1250.
I think we'll have to change it.
I think we will because of,
Make a new motion on that.
I don't think we have to do a motion because that'll be a state law.
State, yeah.
And that's of 2022,
2022, yes.
is 1320.
1320 minimum. I will double check and verify that, but I think they're right on that. I thought it was closer to 14.
Yeah, it's pretty much whatever the state is at the time of that year.
Okay. Anything else now? For the appointments?
So, well, in the
Go ahead.
minutes, do you want me to reflect the 1320?
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
And should it also reflect that we're talking 2 years on the new dollar figures? for the appointments.
Then we won't be, we
So
won't be
we won't be
looking
going
at
over
it
this
again
again next
next
year.
year.
No,
Yeah, that can't go, because every year is a new, like, they're gone, so you do have to look at these next year, but you don't have to change them.
But I think what he's saying is to make note that the intention of these rates as is that they won't be changed next year.
Yeah, like
So that the
Sean,
expectation isn't that,
yeah, like Sean said, it's, that way it's just covered for next year.
the rate change, the rates because of the minimum wage, that's what I had said, yes, but if we do a 2% increase for everybody across the board, then they would get just a 2% increase.
Right.
Okay. Okay then. Can we hear a motion then on the appointments and payroll? We're on the appointments that we will advertise for a planning board member and a planning board alternate, zoning board member, a grievance board member, and we will also, I'm sorry?
we did, can we just state that we are going to leave those positions vacant until our February meeting, at which point we will fill those vacant positions?
However you want to word that, I just want to make sure that we identify those openings at this time.
So, I move that we approve the appointments as written with the exception of planning board member alternate, zoning board member, grievance board member, town attorney. Then, let's see here.
Well, we already have two different motions on that, so I think all we've got to do is, in the resolution that's already written here, is that if somebody wants to make the motion to set the appointments with the exception of those ones you just spelled out, and then you add the conferences and designation, meeting times, and rates of pay. I think we've already been over it. I don't think we need, it's already reflected in the minutes.
So, read the new resolution then for me,
Which
please.
one?
Resolution number 1. Appointments, rates, and pay.
Okay.
How will it be worded?
So someone made a motion to set the appointments with the exception of planning board alternate, planning board member, zoning board member, grievance board member, and town attorney. And conferences, the designation, the meeting times, and rates of pay.
Okay? So I want to make that motion then, as worded.
I'll make the motion as worded,
And that's with the changes that we made,
with the
Yes.
change that she just,
but also like the time change.
Yes.
Yes, town board workshop, first Monday at 6, town board meeting, second Wednesday at 7. Planning board and zoning board, no change. That's also sending the town clerk, the assessor, the water administrator, the bookkeeper, the court clerk, the zoning officer, the highway superintendent, and any newly elected officials to the pre-approved conferences. That's also telling what you're going to be giving for mileage. That's also setting your official newspaper and your official depositories. That covers all of that in that resolution.
Is that okay, Dave? You still make the motion?
I still make the motion.
Okay. Second? No second? We do have to do something about this. Because a lot of this has to go back to Shelby. So we need more discussion then. What is it?
Do we want to do it in two separate parts? Because I think that, I'm confused. So the rates of pay is why I'm not seconding. But everything else I'm okay with.
Right, same.
I'll second it.
What are you seconding?
Dave.
The most
Dave's
basic
motion.
motion.
Dave's motion? Okay. Margaret seconded Dave's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
And aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I need to hear a verbal.
I said aye.
To which
Okay.
one?
To the first.
Okay. That's 4 to
Okay.
1?
Yes.
I want more time to do the rate of pay, and with that, and so I will go along with the majority.
Okay, resolution number 2. Duties of the supervisor, which is basically that I am the CFO and I'm responsible for the financial wellness of this town.
Are we reading the official?
I'm sorry?
There's an official, right, in the, like, in the past, we've always read the role of supervisor, but
It'd be nice for Dave if there was one thing that.
Responsibilities of the supervisor, as per town law number 29, provides the town supervisor acts as treasurer and dispersing officer for the town and any special district within the town. The supervisor also serves as the town's budget officer, although he or she has the ability to delegate this authority and appoint any person to serve as budget officer. That's the responsibilities of the supervisor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Margaret and Carrie? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, the last component. Before we adjourn from our board meeting, has to do with the 2021 budget line transfers. I know that Dave and George, I copied you in with the original ones before our last board meeting of the year. Carrie had made a motion because she had some questions on the location of some of the funds that we had received. We spoke with Shelby. Carrie spoke with Shelby as well. And she explained, and she also sent us an email coming from the comptroller's office, which I shared with everyone along with the new line transfers, a little bit more descriptive.
So I do have I still have an unresolved question in that there was $10,750 that was transferred into the AES account. But where I'm having a hard time is I didn't see where that amount of money was deposited by AES even into the miscellaneous.
It seems to me that if you take a look in January of 2021, you'll see a $15,000 deposit, and then roughly about June of 2021, there was another $10,000 deposit from AES. So there was a total of $25,000 that they had given us for expenditures for consultant fees.
Right, and I have that as of the December 2nd meeting, that we had spent $21,000 of that, and that was already coming out of that account, which means that I don't believe that we should be transferring, and I don't think that it was in a deficit, so I'm questioning why are we putting significantly more money into that, transferring significantly more money into the account, when that would put us over, let me see here. So the, okay, so I am seeing, so just for clarification purposes, to make sure that, so I think I may see now where this is, and I think it may be correct. So the AES account, year-to-date as of the, actually this was November 30th, but for our December meeting, was $21,372.10. That we had spent, but it said annual budget is, I guess I don't understand. So we had budgeted for $12,226, and we're short $9,146.10. Let me do some math here and see what that would. Yeah, it's still not right.
Sean, are you still online now?
Am I still what?
Online?
Yeah, according to this I am.
Okay, I got kicked off, and I have nobody watching.
I don't even know, I don't have anything here that says how many people are watching.
Were you listening?
There was 8 before I just left.
Right, 8 before I got kicked off.
No.
And it was still on when I left the office.
Okay.
I'm still watching, Sean.
Okay, thank you, Lance.
I think the internet, our internet is going so my computer's not responding.
Well, can you shed some light on it while she's busy looking what the story is there with AES Baird?
The first deposit was transferred from our income line to the expense line. I do not think the second deposit was transferred from the income line to the expense line. I'd have to double check, but that's what I recollect.
But then it should be, so I would be fine with that transfer, but it should be 10,000, right, and not 10,750.
Probably, but where, some of that is Shelby's doing, and I'm not sure where she was getting that. We have not spent anything, actually, we have about $2,000 left
Right, okay,
that we can, in the AES money given to us.
right. So my concern is that I don't, some of the line items I'm not as concerned about because we don't have to worry about making sure that we're returning the funds that, because it's all within, in our own. But this one in particular, any of the expenditure accounts, I don't think that it's appropriate to be transferring in more funds that we haven't actually received. I'm good with transferring the funds, ideally, like I shared last time. For future, I'd love to do it when they come in, so that then it's, okay, this came in for this, and then at that meeting, that's one of the transfers. But I know for right now, we're just trying to kind of go back through and make sure that everything is correct. And that's just was a red flag to me because I didn't understand why we were transferring more money than what we received into that account to pay out of, into that expense account.
Lee keeps a running Excel spreadsheet. And for monies that come in from each one of those, so she has a more specific listing of what we get through intervenor funding and through intervenor heritage, and what goes out of that account, and what we have from AES Baird project. We've received nothing yet from
The Orleans.
Hemlock Ridge Solar Project. They're supposed to be sending us, because most of the bills we have at this time, and we've had to pay them, has been for consultant fees and so on that we needed prior to the intervenor funds and don't fall under the auspices of the criteria for intervenor funding. And the excuse I got from Hemlock Ridge is because they've just merged with another company. So now that that is all taken care of, now they can start taking care of some of their other commitments, such as sending us a check for like $25,000.
When was that check supposed to be due?
ASAP about 5 months ago.
Really?
I understand, I appreciate that Lee is keeping a separate track of it, but I also think that our accounts should appropriately reflect as well.
I agree with you. So, what are we doing here with the line transfers? Do I hear a motion
I'll make a
then?
motion that we approve the line transfers.
Do I hear a second?
What happens if we don't approve them?
Well, they need these for the rates of pay, or I'm sorry, for the line transfers, we need those so we can properly pay the bills out of those lines.
So,
And rather than going into the deficit, what she'll end up doing is pulling money out of our general fund to pay the bills. Because we don't need to have bounce checks
no,
as
I
a
agree,
municipality.
I agree, and that's why I want to make sure that we understand. But I also think, you know, I don't, and this is what I shared before, and this is a lot, and I did try and spend some time kind of going through and trying to weed through this. But in total, between our actual accounts and the highway accounts and the water accounts, we are transferring over $300,000 of money. And I guess I'm asking you, Sean, as our chief financial officer, that you can go through and you understand and you think not just that Shelby's license is on the line, but that you understand, you can go through here and explain that this is proper and this is, and that we're not putting money where we shouldn't be putting it, and we're not misplacing funds, and that we're doing what we are supposed to be doing as town board members.
We're not misplacing any funds, we're not playing a shell game whatsoever. We do a yearly audit, and they approve everything that they look at. So therefore, our funds are placed in the proper way, in the proper line items. They look at all that stuff when they do our yearly audit.
Who does our audits?
It's,
Is it an outside source?
yes, it's outside. Thank you.
Yes, Hodgson's Trust, where you got it,
I'm trying to think of the name though.
of the,
It's,
Let's see,
I was just wondering if it was an outside source.
It is an outside source, yes.
it's a single audit because of the water districts. We have to have them every year.
Because of the water districts, yes, we have to have them every year. We do it every year. Federal government requires it because of our debt service.
Not sure.
Margaret, Mark made a motion to accept the line transfers. Do I hear a second? Okay, I'm sorry?
I guess the hesitation, it's kind of hard for Dave and I to come in, you know, without knowing what the books are and everything, to go with it.
Well, that's why I was hoping when I sent that stuff out to you guys, the previous set, and then the responses I got back from Shelby, that you guys would have taken the time to look that stuff over.
Well, I think we did, Sean, just we're not experts in this particular field. And we're coming in at the back end of it.
So Carrie, what's your hesitation? What is your concern?
My hesitation is that as I'm going through and looking at these, I'm not, it's a lump, you know, so we're looking at large sums that are then being distributed into the smaller funds. And some of them I can easily understand, you know, or that they line up now at least, like the wind one. My hesitancy is that, is those ones that I don't, that aren't making sense, or that we don't, you know, keeping track of where we're taking the funds from and then making sure that we're putting it back. I know, you know, every month for the supervisor report, you say, well, as a whole, we're at this percentage of our budget, or we're at this percentage of our budget, but it's not really giving us a real idea of where we are for each line item. And at that, like the line items, I think that the transfers should be made earlier. But I guess I don't feel that it's appropriate for Dan or Dave, because they're right, they haven't been here, and haven't been looking at it. I will hesitantly second the motion, and Sean, I'm putting a lot of trust. And I would just like to put the preface that for future, you know, I think each month we should be transferring funds and making sure they're going into the correct line item as necessary. And that, you know, moving
I
forward.
know that most of them are transferred monthly, some are done quarterly.
Okay, but we're, you know, at the end of the year, and we're talking 30% of our budget being transferred.
Lee, does the board receive the supervisor's report?
Yes.
So they get every one of the line items from every month?
Right, that's not supervisor's report, it's the,
Revenues and expenditures.
yeah, revenues and
Okay,
expenses.
so they see all of that.
Yes. Each line has, if I remember right, I don't have it in front of me, the budget, what year to date, month to date,
Sean,
and totals at the end.
could that 30% that Carrie's talking about be the CHIP, CWR, and Pave New York? Because there's 300 and some odd $1,000. That's not, and some of that is not accounted for in the budget, because the budget is only, we only put in CHIPs, 153,000. Because we typically know that's what we're gonna get from the state. We don't know what we're gonna get through Extreme Winter Recovery, EWR, or Pave New York, until the state passes their budget in April. So that could,
And we don't get those funds until, you just got them 2 weeks ago?
right,
Just before Christmas.
that's what I'm thinking, some of that 30% is that big amount. Carrie.
So 116,400 is a state aid consolidated highway, is that what you're?
Yeah,
Okay, so that does help too in that, so that's not, so we budgeted. Okay,
The other two came in after Christmas.
did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Chips and pave?
Pave New York, CHIPs, and Extreme Winter Recovery.
And the extreme winter recovery came in prior to.
Okay.
Okay.
so I will second this, and I will make sure that I take the time to maybe sit down with you, Sean and Lee, and help me to better understand the specifics of this.
Okay. So Margaret made the motion, Carrie made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
This is what you just did, that everybody has to sign it.
I would like to make a resolution, and I will email this to you, Maureen. Whereas the town of Berry did not review nor vote or authorize the letter, item number 91, document on the DPS site in regards to case matter 21-0026 that was sent to ORES Executive Director Moavani by Knopf and Shaw in support of the recommended
I'm
decision
sorry, but
that was
Carrie,
posted on December 9th, 2021. Be it resolved that the town board hereby retracts the letter. Be it resolved that a letter from the town be submitted both electronically and via mail tomorrow, January 4th, 2022, for the retraction of the letter.
as I said at the beginning of this meeting, is that this was about the appointments, the organizational meeting only.
I
Anything else,
appreciate you saying that,
anything
Sean.
else
but
is to
this
be
is-
held at our next
This
board
is an
meeting.
official town
on the
board
12th.
meeting. It has been moved and seconded by town board members to be discussed. This is a time-sensitive situation that was not shared with me as a town board member. And I'm not sure, Margaret, if you were made aware of this letter that was sent on the town's behalf in support of this recommended decision. And I think that it is important that we, in a timely fashion, retract this, as a decision date of January 13th is closely looming, and the decision will be made soon. So I believe that it is of utmost importance and should be addressed today. I understand that you don't want to, and that it's not on the agenda, but I think that this is business that should come before the town.
So you're making that motion.
And it's been seconded,
By who?
Dan?
myself.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to abstain from this. You have a conflict of interest.
Why?
How's that?
You're a member of CSAC. You have made it very verbal and have written that you're totally against wind turbines. So therefore, how can you even vote on it? You shouldn't even be in the discussion.
Sean, that's interested,
Okay?
coming from someone who is financially conflicted,
I
as
am?
listed by Heritage Wind.
No, I'm not.
So
And I showed you a letter a year ago
it has
saying
been
that I had to
seconded.
drop.
It has been seconded. The
But
motion has
it's
been
not
made. There is
seconded
a
by
conflict.
an appropriate person.
A conflict of interest is determined by, which is why you have been able to make motions and attend and represent the town in regards to this Heritage Wind proceeding, despite being listed by the developer as being conflicted, and
Because the state
It
says
is
they
your
have to carry it
decision.
for 2 years.
So it
Even though I have
doesn't-
been absolved of that.
it doesn't matter, you are listed as conflicted, and he is not listed as conflicted. A board member's personal thoughts or beliefs is why they are elected, and it is okay to have differences of opinions.
Boy, you change. You have changed. Okay, but I don't think it is legal. Sorry,
Okay, and you can state that's your thoughts.
I am stating it. There's a conflict of interest on his behalf. So he can't make the second. The second will have to come from another, one of the other 2 sitting board members.
So just to clarify on this, this is a letter that was sent to the ORES that was stating that the town board was in agreement with this and wasn't a problem, but yet the town board was never authorized that letter and never aware of that letter. Is that correct?
I received nothing in regards to that letter from Sean, from Knopf and Shaw, from Labella, from Lance, from any person that would have potentially been part of it. I came across it on the DMM website.
It's true. Now, when we
If he-
voted on all these matters, the votes were all 4-1, were they not?
Not all the votes.
So,
And what matters are you referencing? What
Having
specific
it-
motions are you referencing?
having to do with wind,
They were not all 4-1.
they were 5-0?
It still needs to be
I don't know what
In
what's the
other words,
pertinence is to what we're.
There was a
to
small
the motion
window,
on
I
the
was
table.
told about it, and yes, I told Kenneth Shaw to go ahead and send a letter in support, because the majority of the board voted in favor of it.
No, the majority of the board did not even vote or know about that decision or about what was
Overall,
submitted.
there are times when you have to act
Sean,
in a timely fashion.
Email out
So
to everyone.
therefore,
Share it with
can you
people.
read your town supervisor that you just did and see, show where that says that in there?
it doesn't say it in there.
No, it doesn't. That's correct. So you cannot act on yourself.
There's a motion on the table that's been moved and seconded.
Okay, all those in favor of it?
I
Aye.
What is the resolution again? Can you please
I
read
can,
it back?
I can read it because I didn't email it to Maureen yet. Whereas the town of Berry did not review nor vote or authorize the letter.
That should be
Item-
corrected to town board of Berry County.
Okay. Whereas the town of Berry Town Board did not review nor vote or authorize the letter, item number 91, on the DMM site in regards to case number 21-00026 that was sent to ORES Executive Director Mo Avani by Knopf and Shaw in support of the recommended decision that was posted on December 9th, 2021. Be it resolved that the town board hereby retracts the letter. Be it resolved that a letter from the town be submitted both electronically and via mail tomorrow, January 4th, 2022, for the retraction of the letter.
Okay.
So the motion was made, there was a second by a conflicting person.
I will resend
All
my,
in favor?
I will resend my second. If you're saying conflicted, just did, I'll resend my second for the time being. See if anybody else would be willing to second.
I will second it.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thought you were conflicted, you couldn't vote that.
I don't think I am conflicted. I'll have to check into that, but if we don't want it seconded by, for the time being.
Lance, you still on there?
I'm still here.
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. I had to turn the volume up on the phone. Okay, you have heard what has been transpiring here?
I'll read it to you. Oh, I need the signature page.
Yeah, I'm in a precarious position. I'm not town attorney at this point. I haven't been reappointed, so
Okay, thank you, sir.
Normally it's mine.
I just was saying that there's a conflict of interest in terms of participation in the discussion. There would certainly be a conflict of interest for a vote.
What, you're saying there's a conflict of interest for a vote?
For a vote, yes.
So this was brought up previously when Councilperson McKenna served on the planning board. However, it was, I have case law that does not support the way that the state runs things as far as conflict of interest goes is financial conflict of interest. People run on their positions on a topic of discussion and to have a position or be part of an organization does not preclude or cause a conflict of interest.
I have also seen case law from downstate where someone on the board also felt that they did not or could vote when they had a conflict of interest, and it was taken to court, and they lost on it. That the person should have been recused from the discussion. And in fact, I think in that case law, they were saying how the person should not even be in the same room.
Okay.
Right.
It's just interesting that you're saying that when you have refused yourself and then not refused yourself, and you are actually financially listed by Heritage Wind as being conflicted.
You saw the letter I got.
But you understand that
Did you see the letter I got? Say yes or no.
That doesn't retract
Did you
from
see
a
the letter I
financial-
received from Apex stating that I no longer was considered as being financially enabled into this, that I was not going to receive anything? Because what you're referring to is my mother-in-law, Penny Gillette, who had, what was that, $3,000 per year thing, because they were talking about running a cable across her property from the northwest.
So in regards.
And they dropped that. She asked them to please withdraw her from that. I point that out to you, Carrie, that because of the stuff you were bringing up all the time, she went to them and said, it's not worth it, remove me. I will not have a lease with you anymore. That was 2 years ago. They published a letter like 6 months later stating that that is no longer in effect. But the state of New York says that you have to carry it for 2 years in case someone were to sign up again.
No,
But
it's not.
it's
in
not
case
gonna
someone were-
happen.
It's not in case someone.
It's
were
not
to
going to
sign
happen.
up
Did you
again.
see the letter?
It's not.
Did you see the letter? Yes or no?
The reason.
You don't
that
want to answer that?
The reason that it is in regards.
She
that
can't
it
even
is
answer a
kept-
simple question. Why should I?
The reason that it is kept on as a conflicted individual, a financially conflicted individual, is because funds exchanged hands. And it could have happened during that entire time, the time that you were potentially conflicted, the time that you weren't. It's the appearance of impropriety. The appearance of impropriety has already been established. The appearance of impropriety of a conflicted municipal officer acting in a manner that is not befitting of the position is the problem. And it is supposed to be based on the individual's own onus of whether they choose to recuse themselves or not. And a great example of this is in Shelby. Jeff Smith is the town supervisor, and he has chosen, not because he's personally financially benefiting from the project, but he has chosen to recuse himself to prevent the appearance of impropriety. And they have appointed a different person to represent the town in regards to the Hemlock Ridge proceedings. It is not saying, the state has put this in place to protect the residents and to protect the character of the board. And the reason that it stays on there is to show that it did exist.
There's a big difference there when you refer to Jeff Smith, who by marriage, that's why, and the marriage commitment there is that family has about 90% of their property tied up in that project. They'll receive almost 90% of what the town of Berry gets in. Versus me, $3,000 a year.
That's enough.
The ethics, the
I
way
know,
the
it's
ethics
just
works
the
is
opposite.
$15. The way that the town of Berry has its ethics written out is $15.
Yeah,
And so the quantity of money
is
is
irrelevant,
irrelevant.
but it's a lot more substantial.
Sorry, Marina.
And based on, remember that she lives on her social security,
But
I
you're
was
getting
sorry to
into the
see that
details.
3,000 taken out of her mouth.
But see, and that right there is the point, is that you love her, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you want her to have that, and so you're saying that you're sorry to see that being taken out of her mouth. And that's where
Yeah.
that financial conflict of interest with a family member, that's why, that's the reason right there.
So I'm listening. You made a motion.
I did,
It was already,
and it's been
And it-
seconded.
Seconded and it was voted.
Jesus, I love how everybody jumps in there. I'm gonna love this next 2 years. I'm gonna sit back and let everybody else do everything. All in favor?
Are you,
all right, are we doing?
we're doing it again? We did already vote, but, okay.
Opposed?
No.
No. Now, can we hear a motion
I'd like to make a motion.
for?
Adjournment.
Whereas municipal officers of the town of Erie have been identified,
Yes,
whereas municipal officers of the town of Erie has been identified and listed by Apex Clean Energy, sole proprietor of Heritage Wind, LLC, the developer, as persons with a potential conflict of interest due to financial gain for themselves and their family. Whereas potentially conflicted municipal officers have been acted and made decisions in regard to the proposed Heritage Wind project. Whereas the town board would like to remove the potential for any future appearance of impropriety. Be it resolved that all currently and previously listed conflicted municipal officers shall recuse themselves from any and all discussions and voting involving the proposed Heritage Wind project. Be it resolved that Carrie Richardson be appointed by the town board to be the point of contact and represent the town of Erie in all discussions and aspects of the proposed Heritage Wind project, and that she will share via email and correspondence to keep all town board members informed of the proceedings.
second.
All in favor?
I have a discussion on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it should be Carrie and Sean. I think there should be 2 people that should be,
I can't be, he just got done pointing out because of conflict.
It could be Margaret and I, though.
No.
Okay, unless she doesn't want to. Or Dave, if you wanted to.
I'm just getting into this, so.
So I've heard a motion, I've heard a second. All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
No.
I vote no. Dave, I didn't hear.
I know you didn't.
You abstaining?
abstaining is, it's recorded as
Do you have that resolution down
a.
there? Let me
Here,
just,
here, I can
Oh, you got
read it, yeah.
just give me a second, Sean.
Sure. No problem.
Pretty major ones.
Yes, sir. I can, yes, definitely. I'm sorry you gentlemen have had to sit here for 2 hours. I apologize for that.
It's been a long night, I just think, I want everybody in the right frame of mind, I think
Okay,
maybe a different day would be.
I thank you very much.
More received, so, okay.
How about at our next workshop in February? How's that sound?
First Monday.
First Monday. I'm looking real quick here.
February 7th.
Yes, February 7th. That's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay.
Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
We'll put you down for the,
Sorry.
I know,
Sorry.
I know I still have to get for you. You requested some information, and I will get that to you.
And I'll have more answers on the overall.
The overall at that time?
Yes,
Excellent.
yes.
I apologize
No
once
problem.
again.
No problem.
Get
together when
Good night.
everybody got more time.
Yeah.
Sean, who's the other individual?
I forgot his name.
I will leave that.
Okay, I'll get it. I'll get it. He's JC's boss.
They left.
No bueno.
I don't either.
Okay, come over the motion again. It's,
You're all set to vote?
yes. And it was,
Which way do you vote, yes or no?
that's it. I vote yes.
Okay, you got the votes? Okay,
Yeah, so Carrie, George, and Dave, Margaret, and Sean. Yeah.
okay. Do I hear any other surprise motions?
I make a motion, we adjourn,
I
please.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. So carried. Okay. Oh, crap. I had planned on the